Something catastrophic, something that should have been unthinkable, is unfolding in the very heart of our own hemisphere. Right now, as you're going about your day, a geopolitical nightmare is taking shape in the deep entrails of Latin America, and the mainstream media is refusing to tell you the truth about it. At the very moment when the powers in Washington, D.C., our so-called leaders, seem to believe they could dictate the political and strategic destiny of the entire region, an unexpected and colossal foreign power has burst onto the scene with absolute, terrifying force. Russia, our sworn adversary, has cemented its presence in Venezuela in a way so permanent, so deeply entrenched, that even seasoned observers are left stammering, asking themselves, what geopolitical maneuver was this? What extraordinary, unthinkable event has allowed Moscow to achieve total consolidation right under our noses, directly in the face of a pathetic and failed American offensive? The details are chilling. This is the story of the death of the Monroe Doctrine. The Russian bear is not just present, it is now more alive, more powerful than ever before in the heart of the Americas. The colossal Russian state-owned oil giant, a company known as Roszarubezhneft, which you should think of as Putin's energy weapon, has just issued an official statement forged in iron. A proclamation that declares, without a shred of hesitation, its unbreakable and sovereign presence on Venezuelan soil. This isn't a negotiation, it's a declaration. Furthermore, this Russian entity, Roszarubezhneft, the primary operator of Moscow's vast oil assets within Venezuelan territory, has just slammed the door in Washington's face, reaffirming its unambiguous commitment to remain and expand its operations in the South American nation. And they're doing this in the midst of an international climate marked by what they mockingly call external pressures. That's us, the American taxpayer, they're talking about, and geopolitical tensions that our own leaders seem incapable of navigating. In the very same breath, the corporate titan from the Eurasian power made it crystal clear that its presence in Venezuela is not circumstantial. It is not temporary. This is not some fly-by-night business deal. No, this is part of a long-term, structural colonization designed to permanently establish the Russian energy footprint in the Western Hemisphere. This is a flag being planted on America's doorstep. And in that same defiant pronouncement, the company underscored that it will maintain strict compliance with its contractual obligations, working in close coordination with its Venezuelan puppet partners. Let me translate that for you. That is a direct message to the United States of America. It's a threat, stating that the agreements they have signed will not be broken by sanctions, by diplomatic pressure, or by any forced changes in the political landscape. They are daring us to act. They are laughing in our face. And what about their operational strategy? Roszarubezhneft cynically stated it will focus its efforts on the sustainable development of joint oil production projects with the Venezuelan regime. Don't be fooled by the language. This isn't about sustainability. It's about reinforcing an energy alliance that they now see as a pillar of their sovereignty and a weapon of economic resistance against the United States. In the same way, the Kremlin's communiqué highlights the critical importance of strengthening the infrastructure linked to these projects. Think about what that means. This isn't just about drilling for oil. It involves total technological control, military-grade logistics, refining capabilities, and transportation networks. They're building a complete, integrated chain of energy power that solidifies Russian influence inside the Bolivarian Republic, turning it into a forward operating base. Additionally, the company declared that it seeks to expand industrial and technological cooperation under principles of equality and mutual respect for property. This is a direct slap in the face to America, a calculated piece of propaganda designed to contrast their model with what Moscow and Caracas describe as interventionist policies that prioritize resource control over state sovereignty. They are painting us as the villain while they conduct a hostile takeover of an entire nation just a few hours' flight from Miami. This entire pronouncement is a direct consequence of the utter failure of American foreign policy. Years of weakness and indecision from Washington have led to this moment of checkmate. While our leaders dithered, the Russian Federation, a key power on the world stage and a fierce opponent of American dominance, seized the leadership role, exploiting the vacuum we left behind. From the Russian capital, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has been issuing categorical demands, acting as if he runs this hemisphere, not us. He postures on the world stage, denouncing American actions as illegal acts of force, while his own country executes a slow-motion invasion. It is critically important for you, the American taxpayer, to understand that the support from the Russian bear, led by its strongman Vladimir Putin, for this oil-rich nation is not a recent development. This is a strategic alliance that has been meticulously constructed for nearly 2 decades, a symbol of resistance by nations of the so-called Global South against the powers that once held undisputed hegemony. That's us they're talking about. We are the hegemon they seek to overthrow. And beyond their bold political pronouncements, the Russian presence in this new satellite state is expressed through long-range economic agreements and strategic projects that are cementing the cooperation between these two states, not just in the energy sector, but far, far beyond. They are sinking their teeth in deep. Back in 2025, the governments of Moscow and Caracas signed what they called a Treaty of Strategic Association and Cooperation. This was more than symbolic. It laid out a detailed roadmap for the expansion of commercial, energy, and investment ties for the next decade. That agreement wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a blueprint for the colonization we are witnessing today. It reaffirmed their intention to intensify cooperation in key sectors like oil and gas production, joint exploration, and the expansion of bilateral trade, forging a relationship designed specifically to withstand the impact of Western sanctions and economic restrictions. They built this alliance to be sanction-proof. Now we get to the heart of the matter, the oil sector, the nucleus of this anti-American alliance. The Venezuelan puppet parliament approved a 15-year extension for the joint ventures between their state oil company, PDVSA, and Roszarubezhneft, the Russian state firm created specifically to manage these assets on Caribbean soil. Do you understand the timeline here? This extension ensures their joint operation in critical energy fields like Bokharan and Parija until the year 2041. Let that sink in. For the next 2 decades, Russia will control strategic energy assets in our backyard. They have a stated production target of around 91 million barrels of crude oil and have committed to investments of roughly $616 million in that period. This isn't an investment. It's a down payment on a permanent military and economic outpost. But this economic encirclement is not limited to hydrocarbons. The two governments have drafted agreements to expand collaboration into natural gas production, agriculture, medicine, communications, technology, and other industrial sectors. Their stated intention is to use existing multilateral mechanisms to boost mutual investment and trade, effectively creating a closed economic loop that locks out the United States. On top of the formal energy alliances, bilateral trade between Russia and Venezuela has skyrocketed in recent years, reaching figures that show a clear upward trend, defying the difficulties imposed by international sanctions. This exchange now includes everything from Venezuelan agricultural products like cocoa and coffee to Russian supplies of fertilizers, wheat, and industrial goods. Russian companies have openly declared their interest in expanding their commercial operations across South America, using Venezuela as their beachhead. And now, we come to the most direct attack of all, the financial front. Caracas has been progressively incorporating elements of the Russian financial system, most notably the gradual adoption of the Mir payment card. This is not about convenience for tourists. This is a direct assault on the United States dollar. It allows their commerce to be settled in currencies other than the dollar, systematically reducing their dependence on Western financial systems. They are building a parallel economy with the explicit goal of dethroning the dollar as the world's reserve currency. These investments and agreements constitute a geopolitical fortress. For the Eurasian power and their Caribbean client state, this represents not just economic cooperation, but a structural challenge to every attempt by the United States to reconfigure the pieces on the global political and energy chessboard. According to international analysts who aren't on the payroll of the globalist elite, by cementing these networks of production, trade, and finance, Russia has not only strengthened its ties with Venezuela, but is also building a robust economic presence that counteracts any external pressure we can apply. They are positioning both countries as major players in the international energy game, a game from which we are being deliberately excluded. Everything indicates that while Washington is busy giving speeches about controlling Venezuela's vast oil resources and reorienting its production toward American firms, Roszarubezhneft has already established itself as the tireless guardian of Russian energy sovereignty on the American continent. We are now living in a scenario that mixes military tensions, political disputes, and global rivalries, and the powerful Russian presence, channeled through its oil behemoth, is not just persisting. It is openly defying every move made by the United States. They are consolidating yet another chapter in the new great game for global energy control, and they are winning. This is a Red Dawn scenario unfolding in slow motion. This is the enemy at the gates. This is the frontline analyst. The enemy is inside the gates. Wake up,